Saturday sort of Good Morning Thailand program. This is specifically to answer questions about the Thailand Pass, the new Thailand Pass, which sort of came about yesterday around about 12 o'clock during the briefing from the double CSA. There has been, as usual, a bit of confusion about what's going on, but we think we've got most of the details sorted, and we're here to answer your questions. Hopefully we get most of them right. Just getting the framing right as we move towards this morning's little soiree with you. Also, just a quick announcement that we're going to be doing got to turn the sound down, don't I? We're going to be doing a sort of Good Morning Thailand on the weekends in the future. This is going to be just between us and you. It's going to be done live. Jay and I will do it. Hello, Scott D. Nice to have you with us. So the idea is that we're going to be doing just an abridged 10 to 20 minute chat with you, very informal, and also, I suppose, just a bit of a brief update of some of the main stories. So it's not an in-depth, let's get stuck into a particular topic, although if there is a big topic on that particular day, we'll try and address it. But Jay and I, we're doing a little bit of work this week to try and come up with a sort of a simple format that we can both stick to, and that will provide you with an opportunity, as we promised, to give you access to us, even though we've changed our normal Good Morning Thailand program and made it, well, a little bit more difficult to answer questions, although Carmel is there and she does take 3 or 4 questions at the end of the program each day. Somebody from, oh gee, we've got a lot of people here. Yes, it's my condo. I'm relaxing. I've gone out, had breakfast, better do my top button up too. And just want to make sure the audio's okay. And good morning to Xscript BO. Can I make this any bigger? No, I can't. I'm just going to have to, it's very unprofessional staring down like this, and maybe I'll put that there. Hi, Garth from New Zealand, and Dimitri. Hi, nice to have you with us as well. So let's go to the Thailand Pass, and I'm just going to bring up the story, the updates that we've done, and just move through the issues. Now, the best news I have is that the easiest way to approach this is to tell you what you now need to do to come back to Thailand. Rather than telling you up front what's been taken away or reduced, this is just a bit of detail about what you now need to do. So, following May the 1st, well, that's just a week away now, I think it's Sunday week, the entry conditions have been vastly reduced. You will still need to apply for a Thailand Pass, and that could take up to 1 to 3 days to get approved. In some cases, it may take longer. But the only things that you need to update, you need to upload on the Thailand Pass after May the 1st, and this is assuming it's all written into law, rubber stamped by the Royal Gazette, which it will be early next week, is your passport details, of course. You'll need to put your vaccine certificates or proof of vaccine, and you'll need to put proof of your purchase of COVID insurance, which will cover any medical expenses you may incur if you happen to get COVID and end up in quarantine in Thailand. But that's the only 3 things you have to upload. Passport details, your vaccine certification, and your proof of insurance. Nothing else. So I'll get to the unvaccinated people in just a moment. So the things that have been dropped are basically all the tests. There's no pre-travel test required by Thailand. There's no on-arrival test required by Thailand. They would like you to do an ATK test, self-monitor yourself, self-monitor your health while you're here, but none of that is compulsory. So there's no testing requirements to come back to Thailand after May the 1st. Okay, for unvaccinated people, there's really good news. If you don't have a PCR test before you travel to Thailand, you'll still be required to do 5 days of quarantine in an alternative quarantine hotel. However, If you can produce a negative PCR test within 72 hours before your departure time, then you'll be treated exactly the same as a vaccinated traveller. In other words, you'll be able to arrive at the airport, no testing, just show your PCR test that's been done within 72 hours, and in you go. No quarantine, no SHA plus hotels. That's the situation for the unvaccinated. Now, we mentioned, of course, that the insurance has been reduced from $20,000, a value of $20,000 US dollars, to $10,000 US dollars. Now, 3 months ago, that was $50,000 US dollars, so there's been a big reduction there. I mean, all in all, this is a huge change, and it's going to probably be the best chance for Thailand to propel any surge in tourism now that they've done this. The Thailand Pass does remain, and you'll still need to apply for it before you travel to Thailand. But the big news is that the only things that you need to upload now, as I just mentioned, is your passport, your vaccination details, and your proof of insurance. You don't have to have any tests when you arrive in Thailand, unless you're unvaccinated and you want to come in and be treated just like the vaccinated tourists. Then you'll need to have an indication or a proof of a negative PCR test taken within 72 hours of your travel to Thailand. So that's the whole thing in a sort of a nutshell as we understand it. I'll get to your questions now, so let's go to that. Scott D says, and I know I'm not going to have an answer for this, my wife, son age 7, and I are all vaccinated. I just had my second Moderna booster shot. However, my 2-year-old daughter is not vaccinated. What's the process for us to visit? Well, Scott, I think the easiest answer to that is that your daughter who is unvaccinated will just need to get a negative PCR test within 72 hours. The rest of you can just arrive. So you've all got to apply for a Thailand Pass. All 4 of you will need to apply for the Thailand Pass, but your unvaccinated daughter will have to have that PCR test within 72 hours of travel, the way I understand it at the moment. The main thing is to basically upload your documentation onto the Thailand Pass and see what happens. I would predict there's going to be, as usual during these crossover periods, a certain amount of confusion, but the Thai government have said within their Thailand Pass website that people will be able to apply for the new, revised, updated version number 783 Thailand Pass from April the 29th, which gives you 2 or 3 days to get your pass after May the 1st. So these are all the details that we understand at the moment. Dream Mix says, question, if I have full insurance coverage here in my country, do I still need to have COVID insurance in Thailand? Yes, you'll need to purchase a Thailand COVID insurance package, and there's a lot of them on the different websites, including at the Thaiger. If you have a look at the top menu at thethaiger.com, there is a very competitive insurance package there with one of our affiliates. January the 26th is Australia Day. Thank you, Damien. I know that, but I'm not exactly sure what that's... Maybe there's a conversation going on that I don't know. What is happening here? Thank you for all your hard work. A pleasure, Dimitri. There's always a conversation going on in the comment section that we don't sort of follow. We just grab the questions as we can. So I've obviously missed something there. Roy says, I think you only need 30-day COVID insurance for entry, even if you have an existing retirement visa. Yeah, everybody coming back into the country is going to need insurance. There are exemptions. Now, a retirement visa is not an exemption. You will need some insurance, but I think you're right. You only need the basic minimum insurance to get back into the country. 30 days sounds about right. But people who are Thai and are covered under the Universal Health Scheme here in Thailand, and people who are expats who are working here with a work permit, like myself, you're also covered under the Universal Health Scheme. You get your free medical care here in Thailand, and you are exempt from getting COVID insurance. That's only Thais or people with a valid work permit and the Social Security / Universal Health Care here in Thailand. Sorry, I'm half asleep, says Jimmy. Happy Anzac Day. Let's never forget them. Anzac Day, of course, is on Monday, And on Good Morning Thailand, we're doing a special segment about that, not because it's got anything particular to do with Australia, which it does, but it's because a lot of what happened during one particular milestone in that particular, well, I'll backtrack. There is a place in Thailand which is considered quite sacred in regards to prisoners of war and people who have gone to battle, and it's called the Hellfire Pass up in Kanchanaburi, and we're going to be doing a bit of a story about that on Monday morning. Tim, can you and Jay wear tuxedos sometimes, says Peppy. Peppy, I'm not sure what your proclivity is or why you want us to wear a tuxedo. I would look fantastic in a tuxedo. Jay would just look ridiculous. Vaccinated travellers don't need a negative test because vaxxed people can't be infected. Vaccinated travellers don't need a negative test because vaxxed people can't be infected. Well, guys, I get what you're going on about there, but I don't want to get into the value of vaccines at this stage. I just want to tell you what the rules are and give you the best and most accurate information I can for people coming back into Thailand. Rufus says, I stay in Cambodia. That's fantastic and good luck to you. In fact, in the next 2 or 3 weeks, me and my partner and I are going to be travelling to Cambodia. We want to go and see Angkor Wat, so that's coming up in the next couple of weeks. After May the 1st, because we don't want to come into Thailand and get anything stuck up our nose, so we'll be taking advantage of the new Thailand Pass, where we are not required any tests, either before we travel or after we arrive in Thailand, because both of us are fully vaccinated. Did I hear correctly that I will have to wait until the 29th of April before I can apply for the Thailand Pass for my May arrival? If you have a current Thailand Pass approved, it will be honoured even after May the 1st. My understanding, however, is if you want one of the new Thailand passes with all the restrictions dropped, that you'll need to apply after the 29th of April. That's the way I understand it, Mel. I hope that's accurate information for you. Jep, good morning, Tim. Yesterday I read that the mask has been dropped. Do you have any info about that? No, there's no change to the wearing of masks in Thailand. You're still required to wear a mask in public spaces and in different circumstances in Thailand at the moment under the provisions of the emergency decree. The emergency decree in Thailand is still here until at least May the 31st. My tip is that they will probably enact it for another 2 months after May the 31st, but at least it is valid until May the 31st. And included in the guidelines is a requirement to wear masks in public and in other spaces when there's other people around. Of course, we understand that that situation is being flouted in quite a few areas, certainly some of the bar areas, the hot nightlife areas, which have really come back to life. I'll have a talk about that in a sec. A lot of people aren't wearing masks. That's their decision if they want to flout the guidelines. Now, actually, I was walking back from having dinner last night, and I was in Soi 31 Sukhumvit, which is it's just like restaurant after restaurant. I'm glad to report that all the restaurants were open, and they all seem to be doing quite good business. I actually went to a sort of a franchise, which is medium priced, called Wine Connection, and it was really busy. I've been there a few times over the past 18 months, and it just gets busier and busier. Last night it was pretty much full around about 7:30 p.m. So that and all the other cafes and restaurants along Sukhumvit 31 were doing good business last night, and the lights were on. Certainly a big change to what I've seen. Then on the way back, I meandered through and I thought, oh, I think I'll just cut through Soy Cowboy. Not because I was going to stop and do anything, but it actually just is a bit of a shortcut back to my condo. So in doing so, I did a quick video, and what can you say about the old boy? It's coming back to life. Now, there were certainly some places closed still, but I would say 80% of the bars along there were open now. Of course, they're currently registered as restaurants under the provisions of the SH Plus guidelines. But good to see that the Soy Cowboy was pumping again. Some places busier than others, but it certainly, that was only like at 8 o'clock at night. So that's a quick video. I think I've only put it up on my own Instagram. I haven't shared that at the Thaiger. But good to see Soy Cowboy coming back to life, as other nightlife areas around Thailand are. Pattaya is really looking quite different now than it was even 2 or 3 months ago. And certainly if you go back to Pattaya at the moment, you won't be disappointed. There's a vibrant nightlife again there, as well as some of the beaches down south in Jomtien are looking a whole lot better. They've done a lot of reclamation work, spent a lot of money, and the beaches are wide and clean and looking fantastic. Let's hope the first big storm out of the Gulf of Thailand doesn't wash it all away. But the beaches there, not only in Pattaya but down in Jomtien, looking a lot better than they have in the past. Okay, get to more of your questions. So I do the big scroll, looking for the word question. Daniel, the Japanese used a lot of... Okay, we're talking about Kanchanaburi. We won't do that today. With the current 150,000 cases a week in Thailand, masks will be around for a while. CKR, talking about masks, we've always said, and we still believe, that any changes to the wearing of masks in Thailand will be one of the last restrictions that they drop. And we still have a situation in Thailand officially where bars are closed. The ones that have opened have apparently gone and got some paperwork done, and they're operating as restaurants. And another change just yesterday at the double CSA meeting is that they're allowed to open officially until 12, not just 11 p.m. anymore. We understand, though, of course, a lot of those places are open well past that particular time anyway, so changing it to 12 o'clock is probably not going to make a lot of difference to some of the tourism hotspots, which seem to be getting away with a few extra hours of trade. Are they going to cancel mandatory insurance? Roger, at some stage, as I mentioned, they've lowered it from 50,000 to 20,000. After May the 1st, the compulsory insurance will be a value of 10,000. Depending on how long you're coming for, that's either going to be cheaper or more expensive, but that remains at the moment. And the compulsory insurance, like the mask wearing, like the official opening of bars and nightlife, are still things that need to be lifted, but they remain after May the 1st at this time. Okay, question. I'm thinking of visiting Bangkok, says Preston. Hello, Preston. I'm only unsure of the insurance. Is the usual travel insurance sufficient, or must it be from Thai insurers? Your travel insurance doesn't cover what is currently required. Under the Thailand Pass, you'll need to purchase a COVID insurance package to the value of, after May the 1st, $10,000. So type in Thailand compulsory COVID insurance. There will be lots of different sites. Oh, that's a reflection. Sorry, I just thought I saw a light on. So that's the situation. Yes, you still need to buy your insurance from your home country. The cheap and cheerful travel agent insurance, travel insurance packages won't suffice. And I think that will be reflected when you try and upload them into the Thailand Pass. What else have we got? Looking for the word question, which is easy to find and easy to address. My wife, I've already addressed that. The issue is whether or not your insurance company will issue a certificate in the format required by the Thai government, says Robert. Yeah, look, I haven't applied for a Thailand Pass yet. The details on what insurance is allowed, yes, you're right. You could perhaps purchase it overseas, but it would have to be to the format required by the Thai government. If one insurance package doesn't upload properly into the Thailand Pass or be approved, you'll know it didn't work. It's probably safer to purchase it from a Thai company at the moment. As I mentioned earlier, at the Thaiger.com, there is an insurance package which does comply with all the guidelines, and I believe it's provided by AXA. I'm not 100% sure about that, but I think I'm right. And that's at the menu. You should just go insurance or travel or something at the top of the, I'm sort of looking at it in the sky. The Thaiger.com, the top menu has got a menu there for insurance. Question, can we see the famous new TV? Really? Okay, here we go. There's the new TV. Yes. Happy? Okay, good. Yes, it's the famous new TV. So, yeah, that is a, what is the new TV? It is a, it's Hisense. It's a 55-inch TV. I'm not sure why TVs are still measured in inches. Sort of strange, isn't it, when all of Asia is metric. Anyway, that's the way it is. And I paid 11,000 baht for it. I'm very happy with it. In this small apartment, reasonably small apartment, that's all I need. It fills my vision. I'm only, what, about 2.5, 3 metres away from it. So, yeah, very cheap, great little TV. It's one of those TVs that, I'm not sure where Hisense, it's either Chinese or South Korean, but fantastic picture. I've got no complaints. It's still working. What happened to all the kittens? Okay. For those people that are even slightly interested, my cat had kittens about 4 months ago. We raised them until they were about 10 or 11 weeks old, and the mother did a fantastic job. She was only a young mum. She was only 9 or 10 months when she had the kittens. But mum and the kittens all did very, very well. All the kittens lived, and we found fantastic homes for them. And the new owners of the cats, no, the new people who the cats own have been sending us photos, and the cats are doing very well. Very beautiful little cats, and we were very happy that mum and the cats all happy and all doing well. Chinese. Apparently Hisense is a Chinese brand. People are going to slam me for buying a Chinese TV, no doubt. CKR, 55-inch TV in Walmart in Eastern USA go for around $275 now. I don't know, what's 10,000, 11,000 baht, 275? It's sort of around about the same, I think. Maybe the Walmart's a bit cheaper. And I'm not sure what brand they are. I know the cheapest brands here in Thailand are Hisense. What's the other one we've got in Phuket? TCL. TCL is the one we've got in Phuket. That's another one of the cheap brands, but very good TV. That's a 65-inch TV. And there's another one. I'm not prepared for this. It'll come to me. I'm sorry, I can't remember. TCL, thank you very much. Question. So, will the Thailand Pass not be required from the 1st of May? Big W. You obviously weren't watching a bit earlier or haven't read any of our articles. The Thailand Pass will continue after May the 1st. However, the only things you need to upload into it are your passport details, your vaccination details, and proof of your insurance that's been purchased to a value of 10,000 US dollars. That's all you need to upload. There is no testing, there's no pre-travel testing, and there's no on-arrival testing. All the testing has gone, unless you're unvaccinated. For unvaccinated people, if they can produce a PCR test that's been taken within 72 hours of your arrival in Thailand, then you'll be allowed to come into Thailand exactly the same as vaccinated travellers without having to do any tests when you arrive. However, if you are unvaccinated and you don't want to take or can't take a PCR test, you'll be required to do 5 days of quarantine in an ASQ hotel. So all you have to do if you're unvaccinated now is have a negative PCR test that's taken within 72 hours of your arrival in Thailand. Hopefully that's clarified that. TV tech is so a confusing mess these days. I suppose so. I really just look at the price and look at the picture. These days, they're all reliable, and I've done a lot of reading about these TVs. A lot of the panels are all made in one factory, and a lot of the boards are made in another. And when you buy one brand or another, there's usually 3 or 4 brands of components, and some of them not even known brands. They're sort of just factory brands, but they're all sort of they're quite delicate and fragile these days because they're so thin. There's not really much to them, and they're so light. This one's only about that wide. All the components. It's quite a an incredible piece of modern engineering when you think you can look at it and it looks like a fantastic high definition picture. And as I said, I'm very happy with the quality of the picture. On this particular TV, there are other TVs you can buy. Question, Valerie Wand, she says, boring. So, see you later, Valerie. Sorry we're not of interest to you. Manfred Wiseman asked the question, do you know almost all Thailand insurance companies have strict age limits? Yes, now that is a point. If you are over certain ages, 65, 70, 75 in some cases, you may have more difficulty in getting insurance at the moment. I can't give you details on that because I haven't been through that situation. I'm 63. I don't believe I'll have a problem getting insurance, but I'll soon find out. But thank you, that's a very good point. Some people who are perhaps 70 or 75 or even older may have trouble getting that compulsory insurance. Lewis, question, when they say they recommend a test, if you are vaxxed and boosted, that means we can go to Thailand without testing as long as we upload everything online. They are recommending an ATK test or self-monitoring your health when you're in Thailand, no matter what your situation, but there is no compulsory testing for vaccinated people coming to Thailand. No compulsory testing. End of sentence. You can go to Thailand without testing as long as we upload everything. The only things you have to upload online if you're vaccinated is your passport details, vaccination details, and proof of your insurance. That's all you need to upload. Very simple. Do I need to upload a day or two of hotel reservations? Asked Global Traveller via Giro. No, you don't have to upload, you don't have to book any SHA Plus hotel, and you don't have to upload any of your hotel details. None. Question, can you enter Thailand with a one-way ticket? Is a return ticket mandatory? That's probably more to do with your visa or the country you have come from. In the past, it used to be required that you were able to produce a return ticket when you arrived here. I think that's pretty much still the same situation, but I'm not 100% sure about that. You'll need to ask your airline or contact the embassy, the Royal Thai embassy in your country. So I think all the original visa requirements will still be required. There's been no changes necessarily to them. Question, can you enter? Oh, I already answered that. Thank you, Big W. YouTube's blocked your question already. I won't bother reading it out. Joe Roberts, according to Thailand Embassy website in Sydney, to apply for 90-day tourist visa, have to prepay for accommodation in advance. Okay, so the Thailand Pass website and the embassy's information is going to be today reflecting the situation of the current Thailand Pass, not the revisions. That won't happen until all this has been rubber stamped and put in the Royal Gazette. Now, the Thailand Pass website already says that they'll be accepting, assuming they're going to have the new information up there, after April the 29th. But until it's rubber stamped, it won't be added to the embassies, and the official information they'll be providing up to the time it has been approved in the Royal Gazette will reflect the old Thailand Pass. Is Thailand dangerous for alcoholics? I'm not quite sure how to answer that. The question come from okay, the only way I think I can answer that is I think for people who are inclined or have an addiction to alcohol, Thailand perhaps could be a slightly dangerous place, because there are a lot of opportunities to imbibe, and it's available freely around the country in any convenience store. So that's probably my only way to answer that. Hans, question, are there tuk-tuks conveniently stationed outside your Phuket house now? No, has happened in the past, Hans, but I'm actually in Bangkok, so they're going to have to come here and hunt me down. I am aware of my safety in relation to some of the comments I made during the week, and yeah, I'm safe at the moment. Pepe, Tim, who is decorator? Your pad is sparse but tasteful. Oh, thank you very much. The plant usually isn't there. I've actually just moved it from over there, purely just to try and make it half okay to look at. Question, are masks still required at Suvarnabhumi Airport? Yes, this is from Tsunami 415. When you arrive at the airport, or once you arrive in Thailand, probably even on the flight to Thailand, depending on the airline, depending where you come from, once you're in Thailand, you are required to wear a mask in public spaces. That's just the way it is at the moment. It's required under the emergency decree, and if you decide to take your mask off, you'll get some pretty sideward glances from all the Thais in particular, and an official will obviously come up to you and ask you to put your mask on. And we would firmly recommend that you do so when you are a guest in Thailand. Question, for a mixed family, Australian husband, Thai wife, one Thai kid, one Australian kid, can we travel together and do Thailand Pass with no insurance for Thai nationals and Thailand Pass with insurance for Aussies? Yeah, so the situation is probably need to, I don't know whether you can upload all the information for the one family, or you might have to do 4 Thailand passes. I'm not sure how that works, but the Thai people will be covered, the Thai citizens will be covered under the universal healthcare system here, and the people who are not Thai citizens will have to get insurance. Thais don't drive on the right side of the road, says Robert Lomax. Thais drive on the left-hand side of the road. Yes. Thank you for that. Francis, about the insurance coverage, I do have medical insurance in my country and is applicable for overseas claims. Can this insurance be used as the requirement to travel to Thailand? Upload it into the Thailand Pass and see what they say. If they say no, then you'll need to purchase what the Thailand government considers a valid insurance policy. You can but try. By the way, the Thailand Pass is free. There is no cost for it. So you do not have to pay any money in the past or in the future for a Thailand Pass. Any website you find that is charging you for a Thailand Pass, move on. Initially, I thought Tim in a cafe, like the special Songkran sessions, nice cozy place you have there. Tim, elegant, thank you. Preston, hi Tim, how you doing? Okay. Can Indians travel to Thailand, especially Pattaya? Yes, they can. People from any country can travel to Thailand at the moment, and even after, there's no restrictions on where you can come from at the moment, nor in the future. So yes, people from India. The only problem is, of course, there are some countries that are finding it difficult to get out of their countries, most notably Russia, of course, at the current situation, and China. Sadly, they were 2 of the leading nationalities for tourism in Thailand, and it's going to prolong any recovery in Thai tourism whilst those 2 countries are restricted from coming back to Thailand. Can't wait for the first story about an American refusing to wear a mask in Thailand because a Florida federal judge said mask policies were unenforceable. That may be in the United States, not here in Thailand. Website, Damien Jesser. The website for the Thailand Pass, I tell you what, you can go to Google and type in Thailand Pass and just go through the top ads, forget those, and you'll see the first proper listing for is Thailand Pass, and it'll take you straight to the website. It's as easy as that. If I can remember after this, I'll put a link in the description. Many Thais drive on both sides of the road and the pavement too, says Rusty. That's about right. Seems to be yearly for some weird reason. Not sure what he's talking about there. Flying few $100, easy done. Hands, they are the minority. About okay, we might have got to the end. Lucerne 123. Question, is there a planned date for the next double CSA meeting? They hold the meeting every 2 weeks. Now, if you're wanting, I suppose you might be asking what's coming up. Well, obviously, these things that still remain are wearing of masks in public, the reopening of bars and nightlife officially, even though I can testify to the fact that 70 or 80% of Thailand's nightlife seems to be pretty much back in action. but officially bars at the moment are required to remain closed. So there's that, and there's a few other things. There's a curfew for the serving of alcohol, which is now 12 p.m. That will be changed after the 1st of May. And of course, there is finally at some stage the dropping of the Thailand Pass. And there has been this date of July the 1st that's been mooted in the past, the same time that they are talking about dropping or calling the COVID virus in Thailand endemic. I'm not sure how they can put a date on that. I thought it was a medical situation, but that's when they're talking about saying that Thailand will be endemic. It also happens to match if they extend the emergency decree from the 31st of May, where it currently is. They usually do it 2 months, 2 months, 2 months. So if they add another 2 months at the end of May, that'll take it to July as well. So it looks like a lot of this magic may happen around May, but they do have a double CSA meeting every 2 weeks. They usually leak things out in the week before the meeting. Didn't really happen this week, and we had to just invent our own speculation because the government ministers weren't whispering to the media and giving us any indication, but usually held every 2 weeks. Can you still 6 weeks without a visa from the US? I don't know the provisions for people from the United States as far as the tourist visa is concerned. I know, for example, from Australia, you can get a 30-day visa on arrival, and then you can extend it for at least another 15 days. But yeah, you need to check the provisions for your visas from the country that you're coming from. Question, should I get the pass before making an airline reservation? Well, that's a really good question, Alex, because you want to make sure your pass is going to be approved. Yeah, I'd probably just have a look and check out the prices and the dates, then do a Thailand Pass application. They now give you leeway of 7 days before or 7 days after the date that you prescribe in your Thailand Pass of arrival. So then as long as you get a booking that's within 7 days before or after the date you prescribed in the Thailand Pass, that seems like a good idea so that you don't have to waste an airfare or have to change it. Question, in what order should I book things like insurance and flights? Okay, Richard, just backtracking there. I'd be doing a Thailand Pass, put in your proposed date of arrival, make sure it's pretty much exactly what you want. I'd then get the insurance, put your passport details in there, and that's all you need to, and your vaccination details, get it approved, and then book the flight. Look, it's going to be different for everybody. If you have an existing Thailand Pass, they say they will honour those after May the 1st as well. Any idea if Koh Lan is fully open? As far as I know, Mark, it is. I booked my flight first to make sure I got my arrival date fixed. The Thailand Pass approval took 1 day. Leo, it looks like most people are getting their Thailand Pass either instantly, within a day, or maybe up to 3 days. If you're not getting it in up to 3 days, there's something wrong with the information you've put in there, or it hasn't passed muster, that they need to get some more information from you. In that case, I would usually cancel it, check your documentation and try again. Tim, if you are 63, you must have an aging portrait hidden in your attic. I don't understand that. Question, land borders open for Malaysia driving. Flying Hedgehog, look, the land border situation, they're trying to get all the land borders open, I think, after May the 1st. Certainly down in the south there, the borders are already open, and the provisions of the Thailand Pass will apply for people coming through the Malaysian borders as well. So I think they've said if you're only coming in for less than 2 days, you won't be required to apply for a Thailand Pass. That's for people who are using the land borders. There's some more information about that at thetiger.com. Tim, what are the chances of Thailand Pass being dropped by Christmas? Are very high. As I said, I'm sort of seeing this July thing growing large in my view, that I think by July we're going to say bye-bye to the Thailand Pass. It might even be earlier than that. Clearly the double CSA have sort of been bullied into making these big changes and getting rid of all the testing for people arriving after the 1st of May. by the fact that the countries around them have moved so quickly and reopened so quickly that they've really been left with no choice. Also, the numbers of infections after Songkran haven't started to rise at the moment, and they're sort of plateauing at the moment around the 21,000 per day official PCR tests. So I think they've thought, well, yeah, let's go ahead and make these changes. Question, has Thailand received its first millionth tourist for 2022? Not sure if you have the details. Just comparing with Singapore. Preston, I think they have passed 1 million, not tourists, but travellers, noting that 40 to 50% of the people arriving in Thailand are Thais or business people or returning expats, and there's only 50 or 60% of them are actual tourists. So I don't think we're past the million mark for tourists, but I think we're past the million mark for people arriving back into Thailand. As we've mentioned in other documentation at thetiger.com, the numbers of tourists are a lot less than 10%, like 6, 7, 8% of the number of people that used to travel to Thailand pre-COVID. Okay, I addressed that one. Scrolling down. COVID insurance through the Thaiger website is a little complicated. They seem to have only yearly packages and not insurance for as low as 10,000. Look, I mean, they're probably they haven't responded to these changes, but if you contact the people there or send them an email, I'm sure they'll be able to respond and get that information to you once they've changed their packages, because they only got the news yesterday as well, and on a Saturday morning they probably haven't had time to change them yet. Are there particulars about the boosters being part of the vaccination series of entries? Yeah. So what is expected as reasonable or suitable vaccination? Now, I'm going to do some investigation about this. My vaccinations were in April last year. I haven't had a booster. I can actually go and get a booster today. I can get a free booster. There's 6 locations. I can just walk in with my passport and get a booster here in Bangkok. I'll probably do that because I'm sort of got this idea in my mind that with my vaccinations now 12 months in the background, I may not be considered fully vaccinated, but I don't have an answer for that. So if I go and get a booster, I think I will be then thought to be fully vaccinated. I have zero problem about getting a booster. I had 2 AstraZeneca vaccines. They had zero effect on me. Mildly sore arm, but like mildly. And I'll probably just get another AstraZeneca booster because it didn't seem to cause me any harm whatsoever. AXA Insurance does the job. Thank you, Damien. 3 shots. He's had 3 shots. What's the situation for unvaccinated people? Erica, as I mentioned earlier, and I'm sorry if you missed it at the very start, after May the 1st, if you are unvaccinated, but you get a negative PCR test within 72 hours before coming to Thailand, you can arrive in Thailand exactly the same as a vaccinated traveller without having any tests on arrival or any prepaid accommodation or any quarantine. However, if you're not considered fully vaccinated by the Thai government, or if you are unvaccinated by choice and you don't want to get a PCR test, or your PCR test is positive. If your PCR test is positive, don't come to Thailand. But if you don't have a PCR test before you travel to Thailand, then you'll be required to do 5 days of quarantine in an alternative quarantine hotel. All the details, by the way, in our most recent articles at thetiger.com. Okay, 2 more questions and then I'll go because you'll be sick of me and I've got other things to do. I'm a little bit sour that I already booked for Bali because I didn't anticipate that these regulations would ease this quickly. We're a little bit surprised too, Arman. But this is great news for everyone anyway. Interestingly, I was going to be either going to Bali for a quick break or to Angkor Wat in Cambodia for a quick break. We decided to go to Cambodia not for any particular reason. I've been to Bali many times, but number one has not been to Cambodia and really wanted to go to Angkor Wat, so that's where we're going. Comment: people should know that it may take longer for a Thailand pass if your vaccination certificate is handwritten, like in the US, as they will need to manually verify it. Yeah, obviously different countries have got different vaccination certificates, and this is always going to be a problem for people using something like the Thailand Pass. I think in the future, the vaccination will be required by a lot of airlines into the future, but in the future, let's hope they drop the Thailand Pass and all you'll need to do is show your vaccination certificates when you check in. And when you check in your home country, assumedly, then they'll be able to verify them because they'll recognise these certificates. AXA quoted me 6,800 baht for 3 months. Is that good? I don't know, Jimmy. Doesn't sound too bad. Don't go to Burma, Damien. Anybody thinking of going to Myanmar at the moment, you are insane. Do not go to Myanmar unless you're a journalist covering the news or you've got a business or family you need to attend to. It's still quite a dangerous situation. So be very, very careful if you think you want to go to Myanmar at the moment. Angkor is great, Tim. Lifetime memory for me. I've actually been there before, did the sunset actually in a hot air balloon at Angkor Wat, and I look forward to doing that again in a few weeks. All I remember when I was walking around the temple, it was hot as hell. It was hotter even than Thailand. Or maybe I'm just more used to it now and it won't bother me. I wasn't back then when I was just a tourist. But yeah, I mean, after a couple of days in Cambodia visiting the temples, I didn't really need to see any more temples. I thought there was other things I wanted to see. I particularly liked Phnom Penh, great city, and I enjoyed the food and the vibe there. A very interesting city, of course, Cambodia with a horrific recent history. And if you go there, it's something that you probably need to visit, some of the remnants of that horrible time when Cambodia was Kampuchea under the reign of Pol Pot and the Khmer Rouge. 20,000 coverage. There's no. After May the 1st, the coverage for insurance has been dropped from 20,000 down to 10,000. Vacation in the Ukraine. No, that won't be happening. Okay, one more thing. If there's one more question. Hello, Tennessee. Yes, they cremate was strange. Question. Here's a question from Manfred. This is the last question. Why not make your visit to Angkor Wat visit a Thaiger tour for members and set a price for it? Oh, look, as much as I love you all, and especially appreciate the members, the idea of travelling with you doesn't excite me. Having to stay up all night and talk to you. Happy to chat to you here. You got pretty much full access to me. So I think that's about all we need to do. I'm not really a tour guide. When it comes to travel, I sort of like to get in, see things and then move on. I don't like to hang around. I don't really like to hang around the touristy areas. I don't want to hang around late at night. Usually get to bed early and get up early. I drive you insane. Not a good idea at all. Okay, so that's it. So that's a bit of an update. Hopefully we've been able to give you the details. Just reminding you that as far as the Thailand Pass is concerned, after May the 1st, the Thailand Pass will remain, but there is no tests required, either pre-travel or on arrival in Bangkok. The government's saying when you get here, they'd like you to do an ATK test and self-monitor your health, but nothing is compulsory. The only things you'll need to do if you are fully vaccinated to come to Thailand after May the 1st is upload your passport details, your vaccination details, and the proof of your insurance. And the new insurance coverage is to the value of $10,000 US, which has dropped from 20,000. Good news for vaccinated travellers, for unvaccinated travellers, sorry, if you have a PCR test 72 hours before you come to Thailand and it's negative, you will arrive in Thailand and be treated exactly the same as a vaccinated traveller, and you won't be required to do any quarantine. Okay, so that's it. And bars can open, restaurants can open until 12 p.m. 12 a.m. 12 a.m. midnight. They can open till midnight, which is 1 hour later than the current situation. But as we know, all those bars operating as restaurants opening well after that in most of the hot locations. Thank you very much for joining us here on Saturday. Jay and I in the future are going to try and do a mini Good Morning Thailand, 10, 20 minutes on Saturday and Sunday. We'll take turns, and we look forward to bringing that to you from next weekend. It'll be a bit of a summary of the top 4 or 5 stories and a quick opportunity to have a chinwag with us, because we want to give you as much access to the Thaiger as we can. Appreciate you watching, appreciate your questions, and we're also going to have a ceremonial burning of the flowery shirts. The flowery shirts have gone. I'm going to try and dress a bit more appropriately in the future. So if you're looking forward to seeing the shirts, I think we'll probably wait till Loy Krathong this year, and we'll build a big krathong, put all the Hawaiian shirts on there, or the Songkran shirts if you like, and we'll push it out to sea, and we'll explode the whole thing in a ball of flames. It'll be magnificent. From all of us here at the Thaiger, thank you very much for watching. If you want to catch up with all the latest news, you can go to thetiger.com, and before you go, just click that like button down below and subscribe to the channel. You have no idea how much that helps us, and to our members, we really appreciate your support, and hopefully we're able to deliver what you require. But from all of us at the Thaiger, I'm about to press the button and say goodbye.